Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Swing Batter. I'm joined as always by my dad and Todd. Todd and father, Dad, you always pull off great contracts. Who do you have for us today?
I have a fellow by the name of B.J. Upton. Now, B.J. Upton is the younger brother of Justin Upton, who was at one time the number one pick in the draft. B.J. was a great athlete, so great that he was playing in the major leagues at the age of 20. He wasn't the build of Justin Upton. He didn't have the big muscular upper body strength, but he was skinny but very, very fast. And in short order, got pretty good at batting with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays / Rays. One year hitting 300. He hit his final year with the Rays, he hit 28 home runs. In the meantime, his stolen bases, 44, 42. His final year in Tampa, he stole 31 bases. He had 28 home runs and batted .246. So he's a very interesting guy. So after that year with the Rays, he became a free agent. So Todd, why don't you talk about B.J. Upton in free agency at the age of 29?
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies took a deep interest into the young B.J. Upton at the time. They had just traded away Shane Victorino and were looking for a replacement in the outfield. So they're hoping that, B.J. Upton could come in, add some speed, power to the lineup, that type of thing. One could only wish. There were whispers Texas Rangers, San Francisco Giants were going to jump in, but in the end, it was my favorite and yours, the team that never makes a mistake, the Atlanta Braves, decided to jump in, and they shelled out $75 million of guaranteed money to B.J. Upton, and they did this for 5 years in 2012. Not massive Albert Pujols money, but this wasn't Albert Pujols. This is probably like a younger version of, Justin Upton, and maybe he could, maybe surprise some people. So in the way it broke down in the first year was 13, and then it rose to 14, then 15 million. And then it was just supposed to, carry through there till he gets to 75 million by year 5 when he was 32 years old. The Braves always do this thing very, very smart. They take a player who's not 30 years old, so he's 27 years old, turning 28, and they signed him to a 5-year deal, which carries him through to 33 years old when he would become an unlimited free agent. $75 million, 5 years, speedy. The average was, for the time, not hot, but, he'd flirted with 280 in the past. Maybe he could get there again. So the guy's going to be good for 25 stolen bases. He'll do a 25 season. Maybe he'll flirt with 30-30. And maybe a precursor to one Acuna that the Braves would end up picking up and having a little bit more success with. But that was kind of how the financials broke down there for him. As far as any special clauses in the contract or anything like that, nothing really shows up on Spot Track, which is where I get a lot of my information. But Dad, how did he perform with this contract with the Braves?
This was an immediate cliff. He dropped off immediately. In the first year with the Braves, he batted .184. Remember how he was hitting 20 home runs? He got 9 home runs, batting .184. His stolen bases, which had always been over 30, was 12. The Braves give him another year. They paid him big money, and he didn't do much better. He went from .184 to .208. Instead of hitting 9 home runs, he hit 12. Instead of stealing 12 bases, he stole 20. This was an immediate disaster. Nobody can have a starter batting .200 and, by the way, striking out in his second year with the Braves 173 times.
Oh.
It was just a nightmare. And, the Braves were not going to play him anymore. So they had to find out if they could get this contract and this guy gone.
So we have to,
How did they do
before
that,
you
Todd?
get into that, first off, there's nothing about red flags about him other than his average, but he's in his prime of his age. He's an Upton. And again, he's got good trainers. He's got good workout methodologies. this has been a disaster. So the GM is going to try to move him, which is, again, hats off. This is about to get amazing.
They should have known something was up when he changed his name from BJ Upton to Melvin. To Melvin.
Is this when we find out the Uptons have 3 children in Major League Baseball and they replaced BJ with Melvin, and that's why the contract went so bad?
This would actually make more sense than what happened to this guy. Melvin Emmanuel Upton Jr. was the name he took on for himself, almost like the reverse of the Hulk, going from the Hulk to Bruce Banner. Like, but a really, really bad version of it, too.
The Braves saved themselves. They seem to always dig out of holes. The San Diego Padres wanted a top-notch closer. The Braves had Craig Kimbrell. And they said, okay, you can have Craig Kimbrell, and they named the players they wanted, but you must take Melvin. So he went there. The Padres knew they were getting a terrible guy, but they still wanted the closer. Melvin became a Padre, and now the Padres are on the hook for this horrible money.
Shouldn't the Braves have accepted some of that cash they were going to gel out for him? Didn't they keep some of that? Like we've heard from other teams, when you trade a bad player, you're like, I'll pay for 40%, 30%, 20%. Did the Braves pay any money for this?
No.
I don't believe so, because they gave him Kimbrell. That's what they kept saying, but you're getting Kimbrell.
Why is Kimbrell worth it? What was that?
Padres went on to win the World Series.
Number one, you're breaking the golden rule of BadderSports is do not trade with the Braves, ever. And they're dumping Craig Kimbrell and Melvin Emmanuel Upton
with 2 years of these terrible stats. It's not like no one saw these, no one watched him. Scouts are in the stands watching him play. He's terrible. These are terrible stats.
No, objectively, like 184 is
and bad. It's acceptable if you're batting 184 and hitting 40 home runs. Like, that's acceptable but annoying. But striking out, 170 times or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, and then when you get 12
he was trying to...
Yeah.
He was $6 million.
He was trying to strike out more than his average.
Ugh.
Yes.
Almost did it.
Kids, if you don't understand what 184 means, that means for every 100 times he came to the plate, he got to hit 18 of them.
And struck out
18.
Strike out to 17 times?
It struck out the rest of it.
Well, yeah, he had, in that year, he did get 108 hits, but struck out 173 times.
Oof.
So brutal.
So the Padres got him, and let's give Melvin some credit. He raised his average from 208 into the 250s. His home runs never got very much, 5 and 16. He continued to strike out a lot. And I don't know, how he only played, his most games he played was 92. I'm sure I don't think there was an injury. I just think, how can you play a guy who just strikes out so much? He did injure himself?
Yeah, he injured his foot with the Padres. It was it was bad. I don't know anything about it, but it was bad.
So bad.
Bad enough to not play him.
So bad. Yeah. In fact, where did he go to next?
Gone. When you can't win in America, you go to Canada.
Clearly.
How the heck did they get the Blue Jays to take him?
Well, let's look at this trade here. So just going based on this, he was traded to Toronto with cash considerations. So Padres ate money for Hansel Rodriguez. So Toronto said, we're keeping Gretel. Here's Hansel. We'll take our chances with Melvin.
They basically paid them to take the guy.
They did. They did. And as a Met fan, I can assure you, sometimes that works.
It's just amazing to me as I looked at this contract, how the guy was, an okay player. He had some traits that were worth playing the guy until he got the money. As soon as he got the money, he was unplayable.
It's almost like one third baseman in Los Angeles, plays for the Angels, like got paid and was like, I don't even have to play anymore. This is fantastic.
Check out that episode of Mr. Rendon at another time.
But this is the thing, like he actually was playing. It wasn't like he sat out or like was hurt. Like the guy just stopped seeing it.
This is the reason we're talking about this is why we started Swing Batter. Find guys who were actually fairly good players, pay them a lot of money, and watch them become minor leaguers at best.
His career didn't end with Toronto, you know.
That's shocking.
No, yeah, he was signed by Cleveland on December 15th of 2017 and then released by Cleveland on March 19th of 2018. So for 3 months when nobody was playing baseball, he was in Cleveland, which is where everybody wants to be in between January and March. Cleveland.
Right. Maybe he just never showed up.
Nah, he went to some Cavs games.
It's not a bad place to be.
Hung out with LeBron.
The lesson on this is that you're either the payee or the payer. And in life, sometimes you need to look in the mirror and realize who you are. So are you getting paid for the performance like a BJ Upton that just is ridiculous? Or are you the payee? Are you paying for somebody to perform like BJ Upton? Just remember, here at Swing Batter, we emphasize buying high and selling low. This is 3 teams. And to this day, hats off to the Braves. Not only did you unload this contract while it was on fire and terrible, you didn't pay for any of it, which is amazing. So the Padres and the Braves, shame on you, Padres. They took the bulk of this. But the Blue Jays participated, and the Braves certainly did as well. And that's what makes this a wonderful Swing Batter contract. Thank you, Dad, for bringing it up. Thank you, Todd, for all the details. And please don't forget to comment about who you think should be another terrible contract we should cover. Don't forget to like, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.